let's get it started. So what can you expect today? You can expect an amazing tech update from Jason. And thank you, Jason, for pinch hitting for me last week, for us. I'm saying as much you know that in a minute. Then next week, we have a document update with Jim Lee. You know that, Jim Lee? Yes, so the documents, Jim Lee Harris will have her in it. So that's a can't miss. That's a can't miss. And oh, we have a new segment, so let's bring up. Okay.
All right. So starting next week, I am gonna be starting a new weekly segment at the team meeting, and it's gonna be the KWPR inventory preview. So we're gonna be getting all of you agents an exclusive first look at our new withheld listings in the office. We just think this is important. It gives everybody the opportunity to see what's in the pipeline, what's happening within the office. Everybody has buyers that I'm sure we can find great deals, collaborations within the office. Also, it's a great opportunity for you with your listings to build momentum before they go active. So this segment, it's going to follow a very consistent format every week. So I know some agents love to speak about their listings and some do not like to. So this is going to give everybody the opportunity to share their listings because I'm going to be the one presenting them. So it's going to be the opportunity. I'm going to highlight everybody's withheld listings, and it also is going to give agents the opportunity to share what they would like to. I'm going to be sending out an email to all the agents with new withhelds every Friday. And if you want to share additional information than what I just get from the MLS, then I can include that. So if you have any like extra highlights, anything like that that you want to include, I'll add it to the presentation. So it's going to be a super simple process for you as the agent. All you have to do is reply to my email. I take care of the presentation, all of that. If you have photos, great. If not, I'll just use a fun little stock photo. But it's just going to be a great opportunity for us to get, some extra viewing on our withhelds. Everybody can get some extra interest, whatever, and then it'll all direct back to you as the agent. They can reach out to you to get even more information. So yeah, that's it. So that'll be next week.
So we used to do withholds and we did it monthly, so there was massive lists. So by doing it, thank you ALC for the input. By doing it weekly, there's not a huge list, so it's bite-sized, so thank you. Also a free 2 months dues for anyone that can document when they walk in. I don't care what time of day, I don't care how many times a day that she's not smiling at you. You can document that. I'll pay it myself.
Wait a minute. She sometimes doesn't smile at me.
Documented.
Documented.
Got it documented. So yes, thank you so much. We do want to create an even greater culture of collaboration and working with each other's opportunities. So that'll be amazing. Real quick, anyone seen the movie Weekend at Bernie's? Those of you who don't know, they're on. These guys are going on a great vacation. Their boss died, and they still wanted to have a great vacation. So they just carried. They didn't want to ruin their vacation. So they just carried him to all the events. Very dark comedy. And just propped him up places. Well, that's what happened to me this weekend. So we went to Angie's house. So there's a point to this. I ain't just bragging. So we at Angie's, I wouldn't have gone normally, but with my back, they would find places to prop me while they went on their hikes. And it wound up, I'm like, at first I'm like, but I want them to have fun, but it wound up being even better than I expected. So it was really cool. He may have a bad back, but he's the life of the mountain. Just like Bernie. Which brings me to this. So we do a weekly blog, and this is twice a week with Jason, once with me. It was originally started out so that we would gain greater SEO, search engine optimization, for our website, as well as when you guys when people look on Chat GPT, those kinds of things, that you're gonna be more apt to be seen. So that's where that started. Is that about right, Jason? He kind of half smiled. I don't know. But why I share this, it's the culture. So those of you, again, well, too much about me, but it explains it. So I missed time with my back. I missed time with my daughter's situation. And I still went on this trip. And it's because of the encouragement of the leadership here, ownership here, Olivia. And then one step further, Jason is always someone who just says, go create the memory, go create the memory. It's probably gonna cost you more not to. And I wouldn't have gone on this if it wasn't for that mentality. And the other gentleman you saw on there, as I was sitting there, we watched the Argentina game, that's where he's from. And far more exciting in Spanish, by the way. I encouraged him to go to watch Argentina play in Kansas City on Saturday. I wouldn't have thought that if it wasn't for my good friend Jason. So sometimes we take for granted the culture that we're in. I just had some amazing times and Pablo had an amazing time, all because of this culture. So thank you all, and thank you, Jason. Give it up for Jason. He loves this. All right, well, speaking of great memories and stuff. Brian Sunder, ladies and gentlemen. Woo!
All right, so I realize I haven't talked about down payment assistance for almost a year. I wanted to go over Minnesota Housing Finance Agency's down payment assistance. You might be at an open house and you've got somebody giving you an objection, we're saving money right now. There's zero down programs out there, but there's also down payment assistance. There's just no reason that should be the reason why they aren't. So Minnesota Housing has kind of two paths. They have startup, which is for first time home buyers, and then step up, which is for non-first time home buyers, right? So the startup has a deferred payment program on the down payment assistance, and then also a monthly payment on the down payment assistance. All right, so you can get up to 16.5, and that can change monthly. Suddenly it's 15.5 or it's 18 grand. The numbers can change. But it's always household income. All right, it's not, we're not gonna use the spouse because we're just gonna qualify on this. No, they're looking at household income. Other programs, we can just, all right, we're just gonna use a higher FICO or just this income. But Minnesota Housing is household income, all right? For the deferred payment, all right, let's say you're getting a 14 grand down payment assistance loan. If your income, and it's all based on income levels. If your income level is low enough, you can get that 14 grand and there's no payment attached to it. All right, there's no interest attached to it. When you sell 8.5 years later, they're paying the 14 grand back, but it's just, again, no interest. So it's just, it's a second mortgage that's put on the house, but it just sits there until you sell. I've got first gen funds in here. Minnesota burned through their efficient. They burned through their funds last year. I don't know if they get it back. So I'm not gonna touch much on that. If you do have anybody who's a possible first generational buyer, we needed to get them in yesterday. So there might still be time, but that money is going to get used up quickly. So that's the deferred payment. Then we have monthly payment. Okay, your income is higher, and we'll go through the income limits. It's too high to get no payment on the down payment assistance, but you can still get a down payment assistance, but there's a monthly payment attached. And for 14 grand, that payment is calculated over 10 years, amortized over 10 years, and it's the same rate as the first one. Let's say it's gonna be another $118 it's a debt and it's a payment that they're gonna have. So their income can be higher, and they can still get the down payment assistance, but there's a payment attached. So We talked about the step up. Okay, your first time home buyer, what is that? Somebody who hasn't bought in 3 years. All right, you might have sold somebody a home 2 years ago, they didn't put much down. And depending on what they're selling it today, they might not have any funds available to put towards their new purchase. Well, Minnesota Housing will allow a step up program. They've owned a house, they currently own a house, they can still get down payment assistance. Rates a little bit higher on the step up, but it's doable. Purchase price limits. In the 11 county metro, it's $515,000 purchase price, so a lot of our customers can fit under that. Out of state, all other counties, 472,000 is the max purchase price. So again, it's, the assistance is not a grant. It is a loan, it's a mortgage, a second mortgage on the property that either they're making monthly payments on it, or it just gets paid back when they sell. Okay, so the income limits, you probably can't, it might be hard to read. So on the deferred payment, all right, no monthly payment. 1 to 2 person household, 94 grand. You've got 3 people, 106, 4 people, 118. So that figure keeps going up. And that's no payment on the down payment assistance. Just regular income limits with the monthly payment. 2 people, 135 grand household income. 3 people, 151 grand. So a lot of our customers are going to qualify for that. So there are programs where I don't even have to count overtime into the income to keep the income low. All right, Minnesota Housing is the opposite. If they're looking at all income sources, if you're $1,000 over that 94 grand, they'll cut you off. All right, so we're looking at all sources of income, and if it just so happened where they work, they just had a lot of overtime in this February and March, that could bite us. All right, so it's total household income, and they're looking for the high end, which I'm always looking for. How do we max out that income? Well, here, it might put us over a threshold as far as the program that we're looking at. A customer has to have $1,000 skin in the game. They have to have $1,000 into the transaction, which, you know, with the purchase prices getting up there, it used, you know, back when we could buy something for 250 grand, we couldn't use the whole 18 grand down payment assistance because they weren't having anything into the transaction. So, you know, a 400 or 500 grand house, that usually isn't a problem, but they do have to have skin in the game. Credit scores are, I'm gonna say, more aggressive than normal. 640 minimum for conventional, FHA is 650 minimum score, which is odd, it's actually higher. Debt ratios are very similar. They do need a home buyer education course, they're free, probably takes an hour to go through, you're putting them through screens, like probably you guys do, I do continuing ed, and hear people say they get great value out of it, other people are playing poker on a different screen while they're waiting for the 45 seconds to go through. So, but it is required. And so for 3 years, if you have not owned a home for 3 years, so if you owned a home and then sold it and not owned for 3 years, you're now a new first-time home buyer, so you qualify for the startup program. Just FYI. So again, if you aren't that 3 year, there's a step up program for you. And I think it's just a good thing to keep in the back of your mind. It's just a way to get it, you know, I remember 2 years ago or something, I think Board of Realtors had some kind of savings program where you could put $200 away and that could add up. I don't even know if they're still doing it. I'm like, that's gonna take years to save up 5 grand. Well, you don't need that. You can just do down payment assistance. So keep that in mind for your customers.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes, oh, yeah.
I have a question, guys.
Yes.
I'm just curious, how often do the people you work with use these programs? Or like,
Uh,
you know, whatever, like
We're
why? do
working
people
on
choose
2
not-
right now.
Okay,
So, and a lot of times they're not thinking about it. I might just be starting with the new application. And hey, let's go into this. Not all mortgage companies do it, not all loan officers do it, you have to get certified, and you don't make as much on them. So there's people who are, no, and I'm not doing it, well,
They
let's
worked
get our
well.
customers into a
We've
house.
got a lot of people in well. They worked really well.
Brian, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do it, man. He said no.
No,
No. Give us a quick update on where the rates have been and where they're at.
yeah, so just as far as Minnesota housing, their FHA is at 6.375. Their conventional is 6.875. I would say just a normal with high credit scores. We're mid sixes right now with conventional financing, lower on government, VA and FHA. You know, it depends on what day we're talking. Is the Iran war on? Is it off? Because there's been big swings there. You know, and so it's been a bit of a roller coaster recent, you know, since March, basically. I think as soon as it looks like, hey, it's over, boy, we get a nice little drop. And as soon as there's another bomb drops, and suddenly it's back on and we bounce up. So I think I feel confident long-term yet, you know, if that gets resolved, we're gonna see a drop again in rates, but it's sometimes we've been saying that for 2 years, so hopefully that'll kick in.
Thank you, that was great, I appreciate it, and great selection of pants. Thank you, sir. Also, last night, hey, speaking of war, we're glad to go to war with you. People hear that have heard you behind the scenes, it's very impressive. You don't, when you don't directly benefit, so appreciate you. Last night, I won't get into details of baseball, but was the All-Star game. Why am I sharing that? Most of the All-Stars come away, they ask, what was your favorite part? It wasn't the festivities, it wasn't whatever, the red carpet. It was being able to talk with all the other All-Stars about baseball, mental game, the shop, you know, the shop. And that's what we have with Mega Agent Mastermind. So the first Wednesday of every month, we have our All-Stars, so to speak, in here. And please come, please share. If you're not a Mega Agent, please come learn. Because what we learn in those meetings oftentimes translates into the value that we're offering back to you. The conversation, we're gonna have an open conversation, this is traditionally what the shift book says is a traditional market. This is how you pricing homes. The continuum here is condition versus comps. Right, and then price versus comps. So obviously the clients that want to price it to the moon, they're not even in the market traditionally. Then there's a no man's land where if you fall somewhere within here, maybe you'll get an offer, but as you all know, it's rarely going to stay here. It's going to be down here. And then in the market, these are the people who are priced in the market, ready to go based on condition, based on price. And this is a great conversation that Sarah and others started in Mega Agent. So, but what we learned right now is this is the truth. This is the truth right now. You're either in the market or you're out of the market. There's not much of a gray area right now. So if you have homes sitting, this is really it. There's really no other way of saying it. However, if they do want to get into that no man's land, pricing it in the market aggressively can push the price out, but there's no pushing the price in. Does this make sense? Any questions? I'd love some feedback. What are you seeing this out there as well? Anybody? Got home sitting, home going fast?
They don't sell right away, they're sitting there.
Anyone else? Dawn, you were saying something?
Oh, I told Sarah to say something.
We have one that I'm not. We're totally seeing this. I have one beautiful house. First weekend on, we had I don't know, 12 showings, crazy busy open houses, no offers, huge price drop, almost no activity. And then we have another one that came on, they priced a little low, it got an amazing offer, significantly over asking, went pending in the day. Actually, the houses are what, a mile and a half from each other?
Wow. Is that what you're all
So
seeing?
we're seeing that, exactly.
Okay. Anyone else? Same? Same. Well, if you guys want any of these graphics, I'm happy to send them to you so you can, show them to your clients that this
I got, I
tradition.
need a good price reduction today.
What's that?
I said, I have one I gotta get a price reduction today on.
Well, there you go.
I know.
Well, and that's
Take
what
a
led to
graph.
the conversation with Colin here, the conversation call yesterday. The majority of the time, it's someone brings in a topic and there's a back and forth, role play. And those of you who don't know, HHG does it every day. I think it's a requirement of 3 times a week though, Freddie? Or 4 times a week, so a requirement of being in the role play 4 times a week. This is just 1 time a week, so we hope if you join us, and this really just was a discussion that was equal to or similar to what Mega Agent Mastermind had, that the middle market's shrinking, they're just either on the market or they're not. And of course, pricing is important. Move-in ready, the more move-in ready, right now, more power, because with the rates being up, they have less buying power, right? There's just less resources to do the upgrades. So we have to be proactive in advance. But next week, to start the meeting, Colin is gonna go over how he does this. He's going to show us how he has the discussion up front, right at the listing appointment, that basically, we're gonna know within 3 to 5 days, but we'll say 10, that we need a 5% price reduction. We need to have that discussion before we need to have the discussion, so that the clients are aware. And after hearing that from Colin yesterday, I just asked, hey, can you just do a live one with us, like you're with a seller? I think that'd be great value for y'all, and he agreed to do it. So that'll be wonderful. So we'll be doing that next week as well. So that'll be at the beginning of the meeting, because he's not here. He's doing some coaching where he's part of a program, but he's gonna take 10 minutes out and go right back to it, just for us. And which brings us to out of the market. There we go. Play of the week. Hey, look at that. Woo! He loves this. He's like Jason. He just loves this kind of attention. Obviously, he's play of the week. I mean, we take it for granted a lot of the things he does, the call, but he's not for that. When I was away, I'm like, Jason, who's a great play of the week? And for Colin to sit there and cook burgers and hot dogs and, he doesn't have to do that, right? But that just shows that the top people here lead by example. And you all, are generous through time and effort, so. It's kind of a play of the week for everybody, but thank you, Colin. And also for someone spending, being gracious with their time. Thank you, Maria, yesterday. Great buyers, win with buyers class. That was outstanding. We appreciate that very much. And speaking of someone we appreciate, how about we bring up Grace? Say more, but I got you.
Okay, yeah. Hi, everyone. I have kind of a short segment today. Just want to go over a couple of things. Tomorrow at 9:30, I'll be in here talking about content on the go. This is just kind of to shift your mindset about social media and content of you don't need like the most professional looking photos. You don't need a professional camera, but how can you incorporate social media and taking content in your everyday life that you're already living? So it's just kind of to point you in the right direction, give you ideas of what kind of content that people are looking for on social media, what resonates with people, and a lot of it is things you're already doing, just not capturing on your phone. So I'll be talking about that. I also just posted something in the Facebook group this morning about content shoots that I offer. So if this isn't your thing and you do want to do like a 3-hour content shoot, I do offer that to get B-roll, reels, other videos and photos, and it's just going out somewhere, If you wanna go to downtown Minneapolis and just take a bunch of content and get a full camera roll, month's worth of content, you can do that. So both work, but working in tandem, I think, is what works best because people wanna see that everyday content too. Okay, and then the luau is coming up. So on July 31st, we're closing voting for all of the awards. So if you can't make it, please still vote for people in the awards. I'd love to see more like names in there. Not everyone is voting that's signing up, so I'd love to get more people in there so that we can count up all the winners and have that ready to go for the luau. It's super fun. Like if you haven't done it before, the awards are just fun stuff. Like who gives the most referrals around the office, who can you see all the time with the coffee, stuff like that. So I encourage you to get in and vote for that. I'm super excited. We're gonna be catering Pauhana again at Lakefront Park Pavilion. It's just a fun time to bring your kids. There's activities, bubbles, all that stuff. It's just such a fun time. It's one of my favorite events that we do. So get signed up for that and please vote.
That's a lot of words that you guys put together, so thank you, Grace, so much. One thing too, I wanted to add about, it's kind of off topic a little bit, but family reunion. So at the family reunion this year, I heard Gary Vee. And one of the things Gary Vee kept talking about was really basically, sorry, Megan and Maria, but cutting ties more and more with your adult children when it comes to adulting. And because I had that thought, because I had that thought in my head, with my daughter's needs still being heavy, we still went on the trip. And it was, if that would have been one that would have kept me home, I wouldn't have heard Gary Vee say that. And the reason is because what clicked with me from what he said is, you're telling them that they can do it. They're not reliant on you. They are adults. They can do this, or it's the phone call away. You have a support system. So, and that being said, with bring it all full circle with the withheld, I want to brag about Dawn, because Dawn was at family reunion, had a conversation with someone in Chicago. She's got a withheld at how much?
It's gonna be between 1 and 1.1 million.
Somewhere between 5 and 1.12. That's outstanding. It's outstanding. So all because you had some conversations and you invested in yourself, team invested in you too. So that's outstanding.
Go to family reunion, you'll get a.
Talk to people. That's
No.
what she does.
Yeah, it's the key is talking to everyone. Right, Sarah?
Yeah.
Sarah got,
I was watching.
she
her
got
talk to
sick of me
everyone.
talking to, making friends with everyone. My family gets sick of it too. That's how you
Well,
meet.
surprisingly, my family can relate. And speaking of other things we take for granted, I mean, we have our very own, how many brokerages have their very own in-house technology director who is a genius. He loves more than this and knows the business. We have that here, and let's welcome up Jason.
Wow. Yeah. All right, I'm just gonna cut down the right base of this stuff. My goal today is to have you out of here, early. How does that sound? I want to start out with, some updates to the KW email management system. In the past, it was super convoluted, hard to figure. Well, when I say hard, I mean nigh impossible. For anybody who is not part of the process, but you in the past and still today can claim your own KW email. Yay, that's fun. You probably already have one. In fact, yes, except for Brian. Have one, but you can also manage up to 3 aliases in your KW email address, which is useful. And you say, what's an alias? We're gonna get there. Strap in. You can do a self-service password reset. There are some people who thankfully believe that I have the power to do that. I like the fact that people have confidence in me. However, that is not a power given to me. But you can reset your password on your own through the command system. We have also added for returning agents, the ability to retain old addresses. If you are a previous agent and you come back, that has always been an issue. But you can now get them back thanks to some of the updates we've done. And the whole point is to reduce the number of support tickets that you have to create just to get your email managed. So what does all that mean? All that kind of stuff. I have a nice little screen. How do I manage how do I do the words that you're about to say? You have a menu up here. And if you go into my profile, now we'll be here in a little bit. I'm gonna go do some more stuff after this, so we'll visit this place too, but just to put this in our mind while we're talking about email management. That's how I get there. When you're in that screen, it will pull up this fun screen. And in my KW, we have a KW email button. We'll give you your email address. If you don't have one, it'll say claim one. But if you have one, you can reset your password. And it will tell you the email address it's going to send the reset password instructions to. If that is not the correct email, you can change that in About Me. But if it is the correct email, that's where it will come and you can change your password. Down below, there's a thing to request aliases. What's an alias, boss? I still don't know. You keep selling me this thing that I don't even know what it is. Well, we're getting there. What is an alias? Simple definition is one email inbox with multiple names. And if you're concerned about your branding, thought about your branding or anything like that, it's simply an address that dumps the stuff into your box. It's not a separate email inbox. It is literally just another address for your email. You still sign in to your email using the original email address. But I could give someone John Smith at kw.com. I could give somebody else Smith Realty at kw.com and the John Smith Group at kw.com. I could give them any one of these email addresses and they would all go to my primary email address. All end up right here. You don't have to go to multiple inboxes. You don't have to mess with forwarding. You don't have to play silly games. You just get that.
Do they all have to be the kw.com?
That's a great question. And if KW is paying for your email, the answer is yes, but aliases as a whole would not have to be like that. They're tied to your domain. So if you run your own domain, they're still going to be tied to that domain, but you can set up email aliases are a feature of Gmail that you can use regardless of domain. But in our case with the KW email, yes.
Okay.
So why might you use them? Well, you can match your marketing profile to what you're talking about or what you're branding if there's a particular thing. Let's say that you're my good friend. Today is a great day for my memory. But let's say you're out there and you're doing your thing and you pay them and you're rezacking and you're selling email, you're selling houses, but you also have entered into a new dimension in your career or your businesses, or you're doing something different. You can give and create a new email address that fully handles that part, but it will still end up in your one email address. The benefits of that, maybe that works for you, maybe it doesn't. You can also, yeah, go ahead.
When they come in, are they labeled which one they came in from?
Yes. Probably not in the way you'd like, but they are. And I say that because it'll tell you if you have to click on it, if you have to check there. Catch common misspellings. If you have people who are constantly misspelling it, that's a one way to handle that. Team branding, you can scale your business without creating a new inbox. You can have multiple things. So you might have like Stacy at, and then she could also have client care at, and those both dump into the same email box. Protect legacy marketing. So if for one reason you change or you go to a new team, you can just create an alias at that and send it that way, and vice versa, back and forth. So it goes to that original email box. And, well, just general one inbox. But the other thing is, like, my email address is jason.arvidsson@kw.com. But I can also make jasonarvidsson@kw.com, no dot, I don't care whether they remember that or not, doesn't matter to me. I could probably make jasondavidson.com if you're familiar with that whole bit of my life, but, that's a thing. And for my nerd friends, if I really wanted to, I could just give them a whole separate email and it would all dump into that one email so that we all just get that stuff together. I don't have to have multiple things. So those are some reasons you might use email addresses and aliases. And now that they're easy to use in the KW system, right? Right there, you can manage those. Request them, they can all get dumped right in. Make sense? So those are some things that you can do. So that is an update that recently launched in the last couple of days. On command as a whole. So with that in mind, let's talk about some other things. Now, I'm not entirely sure where we're gonna go with this one, so strap in, bear with me, and we'll get there together. But if you were to go to Keller Williams preferredrealty.com and look up our agents and say, who's an agent that's available to us? And scroll through the pages that we have, and there are 12 pages of agents. You might find that some of our agents don't have a picture or they don't have information. You might be among them. Not having a picture, not having information, not having those things. You may also be aware that if you use Canva, KW Canva, that this same information that isn't here also isn't there. And they're all tied to your marketing profile. In order to get your marketing profile in order so that you don't end up with a circle here or a blank or somewhere in here, there's all kinds of different things. And for the most part, people do have them. If it may be just an older picture, it's not uncommon for me to get a question about the older picture. How do I get there? We were gonna end up here, but if you're in command and you log into command and you're on your home screen. Oh, we're not doing that at all, are we? In the top right is where you're gonna get access to most of your information about a lot of different things here. So we talked about with the email section, if I'm there and I go to my profile, I click on my KW and my email, there's all that wonderful stuff. I can reset my password, I can request aliases, and it always tells me what that is. If I put aliases in here, they'll be available. I'll see them right there, the ones that I've already filed. And again, you can have multiple email boxes set up that way. My marketing profile is a little different, but while we're on this screen, I think it's important to talk about me. I can edit a lot of my about me information here, and this is how the Market Center contacts you. So how do I get, what's my phone number? What sorts of ways can we be contacted? This is all kept here. Yay, that's super fun, not very exciting. But it is important to how we communicate with the outside world. One of the things that's changed about your marketing profile is where it's located. And if you didn't know where it was located, that's okay, because we have a different way to get there now. And the basic way to get there is this bottom section here, which is tied to your websites. So if you've ever not used or not set up your website, we're going to get to why that's important. But if you have your website, managing settings is how I'm going to get to my marketing profile. So everything tied to my website and how I am marketed online via KW is tied to this section here. So even if you use Follow Up Boss as a site or your CRM of choice, when somebody goes to kellerwilliamspreferredrealty.com, your picture is driven by this. So no matter what process you use, you still show up this way. In your agent profile is where you can set your picture. And that guy's grumpy. Somebody should change that. And one of the things that commonly occurs when somebody's updating this picture or is putting a picture in there is it is size restricted. Okay, it's 1 megabyte or smaller. 1 megabyte or smaller is pretty small. You can't take a picture on your iPhone and just throw it right in there. That's way too big. This is a 360 by 360, and every single file or picture editing program has a thing that says resize, and you go, why don't I want to resize it? This is why. And you can tell it 360 by 360, it'll shrink it down. And the crop image is what allows you to make sure that you're centered, right? So if I go into crop image, I'm gonna take the image that I have and I can, put it wherever I think is the best place for it to be. But that's how I make sure I'm centered in that picture, because once I resize it, I might, if it's a tall picture, this is a square picture, then I might be off centered, and I want to make sure that that little picture is centered. Now my mobile phone and things like that are all available here. My website is here. Bio, have fun. I promise you ChatGPT can handle that faster than you ever will. And while I'm not a huge proponent of AIing your way through all of your life, I do advise it here, because just people don't read a lot of that. Your license number can be useful. It's a nice thing to have there. Not everybody has it. But it certainly can be something you put there. And for those of you who are far out state or things like that, you have an option for preferred office and then a primary office name. And I'll use my favorite example of this. You can go down and put it at Jen O'Reilly. And that means if you're way out west, it'll show that address as your office address. But if you were, let's see, Wilson, there are other offices in there, and if they're not in there, you can actually go to add a custom office. Put all the information in there, and it will show that office and your office on your website. So that can be super useful, as you can imagine. When you do that, you can add pictures, logos, etc., to make that process better and more efficient for you. This has been a long time request of our outstate agents, even if it's not something that I run into on a daily basis. So with all that in mind, this is how I would change all that information, and the stuff that I have here, my picture, phone number, etc., is what shows up on that Keller Williams website address. So it's super important that I keep this up to date. If I don't like that picture or I see that somewhere and go, hey, that's out of date, this is where I change that stuff. Now, no one in this room has an out of date picture, but other people who work at other brokerages who aren't our friends and we don't know, they might have those. But sometimes it's not part of our process. But why does that even really matter? Because I'll be honest with you, how many people see that website? I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is a lot about how SEO works. And one of the ways that SEO works that's really relevant to you is the internet now uses things like pictures to connect. And if your picture is different in 6 different places, the internet doesn't necessarily connect that you're all the same person. It relies on different pieces of information to be consistent. And if the information is consistent, it considers those things to be similar. But if I were to have my realtor.com profile that I set up back in 1948 when I wrote Dinosaurs to Work, and I put that picture on there, and since then I've changed my branding, I've changed my logo, I've shaved, all of that stuff will be lost to the internet from a connection standpoint. And when I say from a connection standpoint, Google used to be the gold standard of that. Like, does Google know all of these things? Because on my Google page, I need them all to connect. But today, more people and more people and more people are literally just searching on an AI platform. And AI platforms are incorporating more information, and those sorts of things really matter to the AI, because the AI actually goes, are these the same people? I can't really tell. Versus Google just goes, well, there's enough here, we're just gonna run with it. AI makes that distinction that if I use different pictures in all different places, it may not connect those. Even though Google goes, well, it's the same name. Bing, 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 they must all be the same person because they have the same phone number. The way they search is significantly different enough that how I present myself to the internet needs to be as consistent as possible. Anybody ever heard me, consistency beats perfection? Consistency matters in the computer age because everything that the computer does is based on consistency. That's how it thinks.
So I should be good since I haven't changed my picture in 20 years.
So you're great all the time. You're always great. But that's an interesting point. And one of the things that you often think about when you're gonna say, hey, is it time for me to rebrand? And thankfully, that's not a common thing for people in this room, but I will tell you that I get a lot of questions from productivity agents, should I rebrand? You haven't been here long enough to even have one brand, let alone rebrand, but you know, so I get it. I mean, it's a question, it's a concern and that kind of thing, but there are so many steps to building a brand online that you need to be consistent and think about it. And when you think about that in Canva, that's why there's actually a section of Canva called Brand Kit. This is what I use. This is me and how I show myself to the world. So I have to make sure that these things are consistent throughout every representation of myself. You should have one bio that you use everywhere. And if you haven't been to Zillow.com recently and checked your profile there, wouldn't be a bad idea to do that and make sure it's consistent with the other things you have, as well as Realtor.com or our website. All of those places all pull on those same things. And I want to take it to that next level and I get out of settings. One of the things that's really nice, and Jamie brought this up and I kind of chuckled because I'm like, holy cats, he's stealing a little bit of thunder. But your web page is driven through a website button on command. Same button, except in this case, we're going into the website pages. But you have the ability on your website to create a blog. And I'm not saying everyone should or has to, but look at that, welcome. It's as though I've never been here before. Take a tour. I like take a tour. I know it sounds crazy, but if you've not been here and you're thinking about, hey, maybe I can do some new things, take the tour. It's fun. I've been, but on your website, you can create a blog. You can write a blog. This is super fast. And the thing that I would challenge you that I hope that Jamie has now found is that it's easy to put your content out. The content is more of the challenge. And you just need to think about it and be consistent about it, but not be perfect about it and cut it down, because that is the kind of thing that's truly driving SEO for things like ChatGPT. Do you post consistently? That actually matters for your website visibility on things like Google as well. If you don't constantly provide it new information, it thinks you're boring and old. Kind of like teenagers would think about them. They go, I don't want to be part of that anymore. They're boring and old. They don't have anything new. But consistently posting is an important part of that, and it provides that recognition for the software, and it allows you to tell your story rather than other people telling your story. Jamie and I had a couple discussions about this, and it's definitely driven our site results on KellerWilliamsPreferredRealty.com, which is driving people to see those pictures that are blank, which is why this sort of comes up. It's all in the end circular. But the other part about that is it's also driven how KellerWilliamsPreferredRealty.com shows up to your potential clients when they search for brokerages and information about brokerages in Minnesota, south of the Twin Cities. All of those things are part of that process. And the blogs that we consistently write start to drive the traffic. We have increased our representation significantly in the Twin Cities because of the consistency of our blog posts. Now, you never see that. You don't feel that. You are never going to get a call from one of your, you might, I hope you do someday. But I'm not betting on a client of yours calling up and say, hey, Sarah, I've done business with you for the last 15 years, but I saw a blog post somehow roundaboutly that somebody from your brokerage, and I thought I should call Sarah. That's probably not going to happen. Mike, it's really unlikely. On the other side, it's a lot like a 36 touch program, in that I can't tell you what the return on investment for a 36 touch program is. I can only tell you what it costs you when you don't run it, and that's clients, right? That person who you've known and talked to for years, and suddenly they have a for sale sign in their yard, and you're like, what happened here? Well, I'll tell you what didn't happen. More often than not, you didn't have a 36 touch program. And if you did, one of the goals isn't to capture, well, one of the goals is to capture every sale you can, obviously, but one of the bedrock things I think that's really important about a 36 touch program isn't that everybody in my neighborhood chooses me, but that I know that somebody in my neighborhood will not choose me. If I'm consistently in touch with the people around me, I'm gonna know that they've got an uncle in the business, and I'm not frying that free. So when that sign goes up, I go, yeah, maybe I didn't know they were gonna sell our house, but I know why they didn't choose me. I feel good about it. That's one of the bedrock pieces of a true connection with the clients and the people around you. And the blog is an incredible way to do it, because it's sharing the kind of stuff that if you don't feel like, I don't like my face, I don't like my voice, guess what? It's a place where people who excel with the written word can put that out there on a consistent basis. And if that's the way you enjoy communicating, or you're good at it, it's another and a different way to build that out. And it's the kind of thing you can put on your social media. Again, let's think about being circular. I don't want to do anything once. I want to do it once and then have it happen 7 times. I can take that blog and put it on my social media, and then that drives people to that site and reflexively back and forth, right? Eventually my blog starts driving people here. It drives people there. I start winning more consistently with one piece of content that people see on a regular basis. Now, one of the things that as I've been writing the blog, is I had a friend who came up and he said, "You use AI to write those things, don't you?" Well, I'm gonna be honest. I probably coughed out a couple, and then I go back and I look at the results of views. I know which ones they were. So does the internet. It's pretty clear. But I do use AI for every single one. And I use AI because I write the blog out on there, and I say, please organize this. I just kind of go stream of consciousness to throw it all out there and then bring us all together for them. And I go, wait, let's take out that section and put in this section. That doesn't work. That's a spurious argument that on paper sounded good in my brain, but right there is crazy. So I do use it, but I use it to refine what I'm writing, not necessarily to write it for me. On the few occasions where I go, consistency beats perfection, I've done it, and I look at the results and I go, yeah, I gotta be better at that. But at any rate, once you've written it, you can literally throw it into the blog. I mean, there's a blog post, you copy, you paste, you throw the picture up, it takes care of all the rest. The good news is your website already has 5 articles there for you. But they've been there since the website started. And that's not fresh content. And the goal is to have some fresh content on a regular basis. Does it have to be every week? Should it be every 10 days? Should it be every 15 days? Jamie, how often should you do your blog?
I do it weekly.
You do it weekly, but how often have I told you should do yours?
Weekly?
No, not at all. In fact, the very first rule that Jamie and I sat down and talked about when we started talking about doing this is that
I just know I do it weekly.
the most important thing is that you do it when it feels right and is appropriate. Try to be consistent about your timing, but if you force a blog to happen, it'll stink. Guess what? I forced them right through AI, and every one of them is the lowest rated blogs I have. And I promise you, even if I had written them by hand, it would end up the same way. At the end of the day, if you take the time to think about it, and that's an important way, and it's a great way for you to communicate, this will work wonders. And it's very easy to do. If you have any questions, concerns, or problems about it, you can find me and all of my friends who have available appointments at KWPR-dashboard in the schedule appointment section. But I don't see Jimly up here. She doesn't have an open office like that. You just call Jimly and say, hey, Jimly, I need to talk. That's why she's not up there. You don't see Olivia out there because she doesn't do appointments the same way I do, or the same way Jason, Jamie, or Grace do. That's why we're up here in this section, so you can make appointments with us. So we can do that. But you might be wondering, who's on the leadership team and what do? You click the button, you can see them all. They talk about all the different things they do. That's super fun and exciting. And if you're ever on that website, you can go there and find out all of those blogs with that funny pirate guy saying all kinds of crazy things. And your views matter. If you ever had me like one of your posts on the social media, I can't commit to you that I've read your full post. I can commit to you that I care about you and your results, and that's why I hit like. And anytime you have the opportunity to read these things, it drives the traffic. And that's why I hit like on your posts. So I'm driving traffic, because the more interaction that happens, the more people come to it, the more other people. If this is exciting and interesting for this person, it might be exciting for this person. If it's not interesting to anyone, it is not interesting to anyone. There's a little bit of a kind of a momentum that's got to get built up. And that's why every time I see a post like that, just hit the like. And if I've got a little extra time, I'll throw a comment on there, because that's can be useful too. Because that really drives some algorithms and some stuff. But that is all available, and this is on our public facing website. Right? These are the ones that faces out. And this is where you find those fantastic pictures that we talked about right at the beginning. Our agents. And they're all there, all 12 pages of them times 20 and whatever number that is. There's people who aren't even agents. You might see the KWPR productivity team one. It's not an agent, but they're all there. And all those things are put together. And again, that information that we started out with, the marketing profile, is what drives your KW Canva account as well. So if you want that stuff to be easily copy and pasteable, you got to put it in the marketing profile. So you get your Canva profile, so you get to our agent profile. It goes a lot of different places. And you can make that consistent with all of the websites that you use across the board. Zillow, Homes.com, Realtor.com. You're gonna have a consistent message that people can pick up on. And if you want to take that message and build on it, the easiest way to do that is start writing, for me, the easiest way to do that is start writing something like a blog that's super consistent here. Now, the neat thing is someday I might not be here. And my children will be able to look back at this diary that I've written on a weekly basis of all the things I thought were important over the course of time. And in the end, I love that I get to help each of you be better realtors. But what I really like is thinking about how can I leave a lasting impression on the people around me. And the blog is one way that I can do that, because I really am much better with the written word than I am with the spoken. And there are people who are going to use their Facebook for that same thing. There are people who are going to use their social media for that thing. But I am leaving a lasting record for my children to see inside my mind at the time that I was doing. Just like you might find your grandfather's diary or your grandmother's recipes or things like that. It's a piece of me that stays. And I think that that's super important and it's super cool. You can make it about anything you want. But it's really easy. And if you have any challenges with it, I'd love to help you with that. KWPR-dashboard. With that in mind, next week, you'll be your kind of document.
So fun.
Can I just say one really quick thing?
You can say anything you like.
Thank you. I know that we had a closed door ALC meeting last week for people that knew or didn't know about it. But our ALC got together and really had some really heart-to-heart conversations with each other and with Olivia. And some of our concerns we brought to her and she made a action list. And it's amazing how quickly our leadership team has responded to that for us 100%. As a market center. So I just want to give a shout out to you guys as the leadership team for being so responsive to us and just putting things into place. So thank you very, very much for doing that. And on that note, again, if there are things as agents and everything else that you have concerns or worries about, please, if you don't feel like you can go to leadership, come to one of us on the ALC. We want our doors to be open to have that kind of intermediate for you guys. So please let us know what we can bring on your behalf and make work better for everybody, so.
It's awesome. So we serve agents and back lives, so the leadership is a reflection of y'all, of what you guys need, what you're seeing out there every day, and we adjust. So anything you like, dislike, anything, just throw it our way. And we really appreciate that. So thank you, ALC, for the list that we're hopefully almost all the way through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy how fast you did it.
Yeah, well, I've been on many lists, so that being said, y'all have an amazing day. Go enjoy the summer. Enjoy the mosquitoes because in short order, it's gonna be cold. Thank you all for investing in you today.
Wonderful.